So first things first, Bastian, how are you?
I'm doing really good, really good. Um, couldn't be better. It's a sunny day in Amsterdam. About to play Ziggo Dome, right?
Right?
So it's a good day. It's good stuff.
Good to hear. So where I want to start with is you as a songwriter, because I believe on this record you delved into the idea of songwriting even more than before.
Yeah.
How much of that was moving to Nashville? How big an influence was that?
It was a huge influence. I discovered a whole new world. Um, Nashville is this place where every musician you meet uh, is good, and then you'll learn about, for example, some of the musicians I worked with. Um, while I was working with them, I didn't know, but then we talk and they tell me, and like the guy who did the drums on 3 of my songs is the guy who arranged the whole drum section for James Bay's record, which is probably one of my favorite drum sections ever. So it's just all these things, and it's just a lot of very talented people there who have a very positive way to look at songwriting, who write every day. That was also a big change for me because I used to only play like or songwrite very spontaneously. Um, and now in Nashville, it was almost like a day-to-day thing. It started at 11 in the morning. At 5 p.m. we'd have a song. So I wrote about 60 songs last year. Out of those 60 songs, I picked my 14, not necessarily favorite, but most intriguing, most different, most interesting songs for the new record. Yeah.
What if you, by working with these people and kind of writing songs every day, what if you discovered about yourself as a songwriter?
I've discovered that I had been lazy for many years, because if you have this discipline of writing every day, you come up with good stuff. Not necessarily entire songs, but good melodies that you're gonna, you could finish the next day and stuff like that. Because that's what co-writing added. The value of co-writing for me was really that, we would start a song. We almost started every song from one of my ideas, one of my melodies, one of my lyric ideas. And then when you don't know where to go, you have a conversation with someone and they're like, hey, maybe we should reverse that, or maybe we should, change this. And so it's a conversation and it helps you to finish a song. So now I see songwriting as a more, I don't want to say more of a job because that would be really sad, but I know I can create more than what I did in the past.
Is it, and I don't know I don't know exactly how you worked on previous albums, but is it
Yeah.
less of a lonely thing now?
Well, absolutely. The 3 first albums I wrote by myself. On the third album, I started opening up. I wrote a song with Alex Hepburn from the UK. I wrote a song with BJ Scott from Alabama, who I was a coach with on The Voice in Belgium. So I had started opening up, but yeah, definitely it brings you more joy, and that's also probably the reason why there's more like joyful and positive songs on the new record. Songs like Another Day or All Around Us are very positive songs. They tell you to look around you and see the good instead of focusing on the negative, which is something that everybody tends to do these days.
Sure.
So definitely, and it's fun. A song like Young. We were 5 dudes in a studio in Toronto. It was Halloween Day, and we were just talking about the good times when we were teenagers, and when you would go to a club with a fake ID that wouldn't even look like you, your first drink, your first cigarette, this girl at the bar that you looked at but you didn't trust yourself, so you didn't go talk to her, stuff like that. And it's just talking about these things and laughing about these things that we started thinking about writing a song about it, and that's the song Young that starts with, I had a fake idea and full security, although it didn't even look like me. It's literally based out of conversations. So definitely more of a sharing thing, yeah.
That song in particular, that's one of my favorites.
Young?
Yeah,
Nice. It's a very storytelling song. It's easy to imagine what's happening. We've all lived that. Yeah.
right. And for you then, as you write that song and you have those conversations, looking back at when you were young, when you were 17,
Yeah.
what kind of person were you?
Dude, 17. When I was 17, that was a tough part of my life, and for no reason. Literally, I had everything I wanted. I was playing hockey. I was doing great at school. I had friends, but I had this thing that was missing. This substance inside of me that was missing. That was the passion for music, because I was like, my fear was that I was gonna have to do like other jobs, or just not be able to live from my passion, and that was music. So yeah, I went through some dark times at this time. That's also when I wrote the first album. That's pretty negative in terms of time passing by and stuff. But I've done all these things that we talk about in Young. I did go to clubs with a fake ID. It was a fellow hockey player that was a year older than me, and he gave me his ID, and I had to remember the day he was born and all these things. I didn't want to drink at first when I was a teenager, because I was focused as like an athlete thing, and I remember the first sip and how good it tasted. So all these things we describe in the song, I've experienced, but most of us have. So I was quite a dark. I was way darker than I am now as a teenager, but on the surface I was always good. I've always been able to like manage the social thing.
But I find that interesting because at that time you were well into ice hockey.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it? Because when did the passion for music start to kind of take over the passion for hockey?
I always did both at the same time. It's just the hockey thing was more logical, and I started losing the faith in the hockey thing around this time when I was 17 or 18, because I really loved the game. I was into playing hockey. I was into like the team spirit and all these things, and right at this age in hockey, that's where it starts to get serious. And for me, it was kind of a weird thing that I had to go practice on the ice July 3rd. I was on the lake with my friends, and all of a sudden I had to go at 5 because I was going to be on the ice, and it became like a whole year sport. And obviously nowadays, if you want to be an elite athlete, you got to do that. But I think that's the one thing maybe that like took me away from it. And that's when I realized that music was also, I would skip training to stay with my friends and play the guitar around the fire camp, and just it was just more of a lifestyle I adored, kind of.
And what I find, well, you said that the first record was quite dark, but talking about songwriting, what did writing those songs do for you at that point? What kind of
I'm so grateful for the first album. It's a very interesting thing, because in the first album I'm talking about the things that I don't want to do, and I'm like, my only savior could be music. The name of the album, Tomorrow May Not Be Better. The song, Tomorrow May Not Be Better, that's probably the song that describes my teenagers' years the best. Be confined to an office is not what I had planned. All these things I say in the song. And surprisingly, and I was in this weird mood, when you're a teenager, where you think no one understands you, you think you're the first to ever think what you think. And that first album actually opened my eyes, made me realize that there were a lot of people all around the world that felt the same. And yeah, I don't want to say that it saved my life, because I was never like, but it really changed my life for sure. The first album is the reason why you and I are having a conversation right here, right now, 8 years later.
And looking to now your, because you've described this new album, the self-titled album, as kind of your second debut.
Yeah.
So why is that? Is this a new chapter for you? Is this a new?
It's a whole new chapter. The 3 first albums for me are part of a cycle. They were every 2 years. I toured nonstop, and I'm really proud of what happened. But I needed a minute to not become my own cliche. To stay away from what people expected me to come back with. I didn't want to have a 4th album where people be like, oh, Bastian's 4th album, oh yeah, whatever. So that's why I wrote so many songs, that's why I tried so many styles, and that's why you have an album today that has songs that are also so different. If you look at Stay, it's electropop.
Right.
Blame It On Me, it's country. Young, it's Americana. Six, it's singer-songwriter. There's a bunch of different styles in the album that I really like that, because I've always found very boring when you don't really know the difference between tracks 3, 6, and 9. You know, and so yeah, it's that's why it's a new chapter. I also feel renewed. I think last year taking a break from touring really did me good.
Did you need it?
Yeah. I for sure need it just to have a better perspective on what I wanted to do in the future, just to see if I was still feeling fresh. Yeah.